thank you for joining us as we embark on the Grand Pacific Voyage aboard the Silversea Silver Muse. The Grand Pacific Voyage is actually 4 voyages strung together, consisting of 57 nights through 8 countries and 29 ports of call. The cruise will be presented in 12 parts spread across 4 segments, 1 segment for each cruise embedded in the Grand Pacific Voyage. Post-cruise, and we spent 2 additional weeks in Australia, and that will be segment 5. In segment 1, part 1, we fly from the U.S. to Tokyo, Japan. After an overnight in Tokyo, we go to Yokohama, Japan to begin our cruise, and after a day at sea, our first port of call is Kobe, Japan. Since every journey begins with a single step, we stepped out our back door and into the executive transfer that was supplied by Silversea and Black Lane Limousines. Airfare provided for this type of journey is business class, so we hung around for a bit in the AA Admirals Club Lounge. Our flight today was a AA code share with JAL, and we were flying their new Airbus A350-1000 very comfortable business class seats. The food and the service was excellent throughout and had a distinct Japanese vibe to both the service and the food. The new business class is a 1-2-1 seating configuration, and the seats are like small cubicles that has a door on the aisle, and if you're in the center position, a partition that can be lifted in between the seats if you are not traveling with your significant other. About 14 hours after boarding, and we were in Tokyo, Japan. Since we flew into Haneda Airport, our bus shuttle ride to the Okura Hotel was relatively short. The Okura is a beautiful Japanese hotel consisting of 2 towers, the Heritage and the Prestige. We had stayed in the Okura several years ago, and it is just as stunningly beautiful now as it was then. Decorated in an understated but elegant Japanese motif, the Okura provides everything needed for a simply wonderful stay. Since we had arrived in late afternoon, we had no time to hang around or explore because we had a banquet to attend. This was a special Bon Voyage banquet for the Grand Voyage guest. The banquet was 11 courses, as I count them anyway, of stunningly presented Japanese dishes, ranging from sashimi and soups to salad-like dishes, to melt-in-your-mouth Wagyu beef, and back to a poached salmon with salmon roe, soups, and more veggies, and finishing off with a very delicately flavored dessert. And it was back to the room to study the nightscape outside our window, collapse, and get ready for embarkation day the next morning. And we were up bright and early with the idea that we would explore Tokyo just a little bit after breakfast. The Okura Hotel offers 3 different buffets for breakfast, and we just picked one and went with that. The choice and the range of selections was very good and featured both Western-style offerings and Asian. After sampling pretty much everything, it was time for a bit of a walkabout Tokyo in the area around the hotel. Tokyo is the hyperkinetic capital of Japan, and while we didn't have time to fully explore it this time, we did have a chance to get out and explore a bit of the quieter side of Tokyo. And with that said, it's time for a walkabout in Tokyo. Right out the door and on the same block is a museum closed at the time of our walk, and was apparently a museum stuffed full of Japanese artifacts. Continuing our walk, we just circled the block where we found Edo Mizaka Park on the same block as the hotel. The park is a lush and wonderful example of a tranquil urban oasis open to everyone. The park itself is rather compact, but offers the visitor a tranquil stop inside the city and represents a Japanese garden very well. After exiting the park, we continued our journey around the block, passing the entrance to the hotel's shopping center and the entrance to the American Embassy directly across the street, and then stepped out for a walk that took us into one of the older shopping districts. Window shopping, I spotted a Mobile Suit Gundam that I had to have, but unfortunately the shop was not yet open. We did, however, spot a small bakery where we stepped inside and spent a few yen that we had from a previous trip to Japan. Later on, we passed Samurai Arts, where you can get your armor on and gear up with your own katana. Heading back to the hotel, it was time to catch the bus and head for the port of Yokohama, where the Silver Muse was docked. Embarkation was done in stages, so there were just a few people there when we arrived, and getting checked in was easy peasy. Our suites were not quite ready, so we wandered around the ship a bit, ending up in the Arts Cafe and had coffee. The Arts Cafe, first developed for the Muse class ships, is an interesting place that serves snacks and light bites throughout the day and the evening. It is also the best place on the ship to get a good cup of coffee. While we were finishing up at the Arts Cafe, we got the word our suite was ready. So we made our way to our classical veranda suite to find our chilled bottle of champagne and our Grand Voyage welcome platter. And after dressing for dinner, we decided to go to Indochine, Silver Muse's take on Asian and Pacific Rim food that has since been replaced by the new Salt Culinary Initiative on the other Muse class and new Nova class ships. I will be releasing a complete dining and drinking guide as a separate video. To get things started right, we attended the 9:30 show, which was The Power of Core, a local percussionist group that mixes drumline style percussion with standard percussion with Japanese taiko drumming. And with a long day behind us, it was time to step out on deck and get a glimpse of Yokohama/Tokyo at night, and then head off to bed for a day at sea tomorrow, leading up to our next port of call, Kobe, Japan. The Japanese city of Kobe needs no introduction. It is, of course, home to the wonderful umami-dense, melt-in-your-mouth, unctuous, decadent, eponymously named Kobe beef. But it is so much more than just its namesake beef. Kobe is home to stunning shrines, cherry trees laden with blossoms during Sakura time, and a vibrant city buzzing with life 24/7. With a population of around 1.5 million, Kobe is the 7th largest city in Japan. and is home to over 98 different nationalities. That ultimate mix of cultures makes it one of the most culturally and gastronomically diverse cities in Japan. But our goal for the day was not a tour of Kobe, but instead we made our way a short distance away to Himeiji-jo, or Himeiji Castle. Located only about 40 kilometers from Kobe, Himeiji-jo is regarded as the finest surviving example of the prototypical Japanese castle and consists of a complex that contains 83 different rooms with advanced defensive systems dating from the feudal period. Perched upon a hilltop and with stark white walls, the castle is sometimes called the White Egret Castle or White Heron Castle. The castle itself dates from 1333 when Akamatsu Norimura built a fort on top of Himeyama Hill. In 1346, the fort was dismantled and rebuilt as Himeyama Castle. And then almost 2 centuries later, the castle was rebuilt and remodeled into Himeiji Castle. The castle was then significantly remodeled in 1581 by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, who added a 3-story castle keep. The castle was rebuilt several times over the years, but for almost 700 years it has remained basically intact, even through the bombing of Himeiji in World War II. We climbed all the way to the top of the castle keep, with the climb to the next floor becoming progressively harder as each stairway became progressively more like ladders as you reached the top. Leaving the castle and proceeding west, we found Kokuin, or the Hajime Castle Gardens. The gardens were opened in 1993 and are built in the Edo style of garden. The gardens were built on top of the land that was once the location of Hajime Castle's western residence, samurai residences, and old streets, and include 9 gardens for visitors to enjoy, each offering a different type of theme or style of Japanese garden. Hajime Castle and Hajime Gardens behind, we boarded our bus and headed back toward Kobe and the Silver Muse. Reaching the ship, and after a hard day of exploring castles and gardens, we opted for a pina colada on the pool deck, followed later by dinner at the grill in the evening. The grill is another unique Silversea dining venue where you cook your protein yourself on a lava rock heated to a whopping 750 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a fun and interesting dining experience, and you have no one to blame but yourself if the steak comes out wrong. We finished our day in Kobe with a stroll around the decks, taking in the beautiful nighttime skyline of Kobe, Japan. The next day was another sea day, and although I'm not going to talk about every sea day, I thought this might be a good time to introduce you to the Chronicles. The Chronicles are simply a listing of what's going on for that day at sea or on land. They contain the day's schedule, any special events, and the opening and closing times of all venues on the ship. If you like a printed version, they are happy to deliver that each night, but they are also available electronically, either on your television or the small iPad device in your room. You may also download the PDF version to your iPad or your own computer. We had several sea days this trip, and you might ask, what is a typical day at sea? Well, for us, it was started with exercise, and after a bit of jumping around or treadmill, it was time for a very light breakfast, maybe a cup of coffee. In the afternoon, lunch, followed by a lecture or port talk, sometimes a special event, followed by dinner, then possibly a show, and that was usually followed by a bit of carousing around or drinks or bed. Today we arranged our own special event with our butler. He arranged a nice champagne and caviar service for us, room service delivered and set up the table. I popped the cork on our bottle of champagne, and we enjoyed caviar, a fruit platter, and a bit of a toast to ourselves, the ship, and the crew. Well, that's it for part 1 of segment 1. Join us in part 2 as we head toward Korea and then back to finish up Japan. Thank you for watching, and please help us grow the channel by liking, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell to be kept up to date with new releases. Check out our website for more information on our travels and channel, and stay tuned for more as we continue our Grand Pacific Voyage. We have over 60 other videos on YouTube, so check those out and let me know what you think. And as always, safe and happy travels from T's Cruise and Travel Muse.